Hello all, how are we all doing? Anyone alive out there? Come on, give us a cheer. Yeah, that's better. You've probably noticed already, I'm not a dub. I am the one from the country. I'm from Carlow. A couple of questions come up when I say I'm from Carlow in Dublin. First one is, it's about an hour and 15 minutes away, just up from Kilkenny and down from Kildare. Second one is, none of my family have, nor any of my friends ever had sex with a sheep or any farm animal. And the third one, even though my voice suggests it, and I love it, I'm not a traveller. I know you were all thinking that. Don't be trying to mask it. I come to Dublin to do gigs because it's the only place you can get them, really. Carlow's a bit of a shithole, to be honest. I don't blame money is for knowing where it is. But there's a couple of things I like, a couple of things I don't like about Dublin. A couple of things I like. It's the fact you can get food at any time of the night. One look at me tells you that I probably want food at every time of the night. But a couple of things I don't like about Dublin. Dublin transport. I fucking hate Dublin transport. I was here in Finglas last week. I was waiting for a bus. I waited an hour for one bus to come along. And all of a sudden, three 10-year-olds mugged me at the same time. Another thing I don't like about Dublin is the language barrier. You go into a Chinese in Dublin, no one speaks Chinese. You go into a Centra in Dublin, no one speaks English. You come to the north side of Dublin, no one speaks English. Oh, you're walking away with that shit in Finglas. I tell you, I recently came back there from a holiday, and it wasn't a very good holiday now. It wasn't one of them fancy ones. I went camping in Wexford. And camping's fantastic, providing you don't mind not being able to sleep, because the moron in the tent next to you is snoring. You don't mind being walking at 6 o'clock in the morning because the same cunt that kept you awake all night snoring is now up singing. You can't go to the jacks because they stink. You can't have a shower because there's no hot water. You can't eat your food because your flies are destroyed. You can't sit outside because you're swarmed with wasps. But if you can get past all that, camping is the fucking shit. But it's not the worst holiday I ever had. Well, it's not. I once went to Galway, and my girlfriend's parents actually sent us to Galway, and they thought it'd be nice for us to fly to Galway. We'd check into the airport 2 hours before we flew. The flight was delayed by 2 hours. We weren't allowed out of the airport in Galway for another hour. It took us 5 hours altogether, and we could have fucking drove it in 2. I was kind of pissed off about that. But I knew I was off to a bad holiday at the very start when we got onto the plane. We sat onto the plane and we started to taxi to the runway, and there was a bang and the plane stopped. We sat there for about 5 minutes in silence, and then the captain came on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, a piece has fallen off of the plane, but we're going to weld it back on and we should be ready to go in an hour." So an hour passes and the captain comes back on again and he says, "We've welded that piece back onto the plane and now we're going to try take off." And shortly after that he said the 3 scariest words I have ever heard. He said, "We're going to taxi to the runway now, and this should work." And then he said, "Sure, fuck it. We'll see." Now, I don't know a lot about planes, or about flying them, but I'm pretty sure when you're on the runway and you think, this might not take off, I think you should probably fuck back in and get another plane. But other than that, like, it was grand, apart from all the waiting and the fact that we actually went to Galway. Galway was almost as bad as camping. But I do quite a lot of travelling for this. I recently had a gig in Dublin, and right after it I had to go to Cork. I had a gig in Cork the following day. So I left from here and I met a guy who does something that nobody ever does anymore, and he was coming. Just off on the Newlands Cross. So, well, to describe this guy first, the only way I could describe him was he was a massive black guy. He was huge, and I pulled in my Ford car, and I said, "Where are you off to?" And he said, "Cork." And I thought, that's not too bad. And he showed me a sign that said Bantry, and I thought, "Jeez, that's grand, I'm going to Bantry myself." So I said, "You know, the lift?" And he said, "Yes." So we were into the car and we started to drive off, and I was thinking, at least I have a conversation the whole way to Cork. So I said to him, "Where do you come from?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "How long are you in Ireland?" He said, "Yes." I was starting to think to myself, this isn't really, you know, this isn't what I was expecting. So I said, where do you come from? He said, Cork. And I thought, I know now what's going on. This guy has two words. He has Cork and yes. The whole way to fucking Cork with a guy who can say Cork and yes, I just thought, that's not going to work for me. The radio broke in the car, and after half an hour, I was so fucking bored. I started singing. And I got this brain with it. That I could sing a song, and as long as it sounded like a song, I could put in whatever words I wanted. Because he couldn't understand the word I said. So I decided to sing Fast Car, but change the words a little bit. Now, I was going down in the car, and I decided to call him Tom. I said that'll be his name. And we were in the car, we were driving down, and I said, I'm in a fast car, and I'm going to take my penis out. I'll probably stick it in, Tom. Out on the bonnet, I'm going to have fun. Now, I got bored of that too after a while. You know, but it was fun for a while. But we got to Cork, and we were just going into Cork, and I didn't know how to get the banshee. So I pulled over and asked the guy. I said, sorry mate, could you tell us how to get the banshee? And he went, jeez, Bantry. You sure you wouldn't be happier going to Middleton? And I said, no, it kind of has to be Bantry. And he said, just it's a pity that now, because I know the way to Middleton like. And I said, no, it has to be Bantry. So I was just going to let the window up and drive off, you know. But suddenly, Tom leans across me and says, what the fuck is wrong with you? I just want to get to Bantry, get to my hotel and take a shower and relax. But I'm stuck here listening to you, who doesn't know where the fuck you are, and this dickhead who wants to rape me. I never made that mistake again. My mother watches these gigs back, you know, I record all the gigs and the mother watches them back. And she just tell me, you're turning back for cursing and talking about filth. And I suppose I am, and with that in mind, I'm going to tell you about the time I lost my virginity. I was 17, which is probably late, considering at 17, most people out around here probably have grandchildren. Oh, I love taking the piss out of this. But, no, I was 17, and when I was 17, something happened that made me think I definitely have to lose my virginity. One-eyed stuttering Steve lost his virginity when I was 17. And I know now as an adult that that's not that important, but at 17 that was a massive problem, because for me to save face, I had to lose mine too. So I did. I went out, I found a girl, I knew her, I wasn't going to make it hard on myself if I wanted to lose my virginity, I knew what she was like. I asked my mates for a bit of advice, you know, what should I do? And they said, well, the most important thing is always pay a woman compliments. So I said no bother at all. Friday night meeting up with her, grabbed myself a bottle of wine, met her at her place. She drank most of the wine, and it didn't take a whole lot to get her to bed. So we were in the bed, she's lying on the bed, completely naked, I'm at the end of it, fully dressed, shaking like a shitting dog, looking at her. And it dawns on me that I should pay her a compliment. And I looked at her lying on the bed with her legs open, and I went down like this, as if I was looking for a blockage in a pipe, and went, Jesus, that's lovely, that is. I didn't lose my virginity that night, but the following weekend, I brought 2 bottles of wine and shut the fuck up. Tell you, speaking of virgins though, I see Jedward are in the Big Brother house this year. I don't think I could do Big Brother. Like I said earlier, I get bored pretty easily. I think if I went into that Big Brother house, you have Jedward, Tara Reid, who I wouldn't mind it anyway. I can tell by a few of the boys there, I wouldn't mind that. But I think after about half an hour in the Big Brother house, you could hear the commentator say, Day 1 in the Big Brother house, Paudy took a shit in the soup. Day 1 in the Big Brother house. Surprisingly, Paudy's eating the soup, he shot it. Day 2 in the Big Brother house, Paudy's trying to climb the wall. Day 3 in the Big Brother house, Paudy just boxed the head off of John and Edward, and now he's trying to get into the bathroom after Tara Reid. I just don't think it go down very well, especially on day 5 when I hung myself. But I'm going to leave you now. I'm going to leave you with a bit of advice. I was recently out in the city centre, and I spend most of my weekends in Bray. And I got a taxi from the city centre to Bray. And I know the taxi, it's a pretty distinguished taxi, you know what to see. There's only one around like it. It's painted like a big tiger. And he charged me 60 quid to go from the city centre to Bray, which I thought was a bit steep myself. But I thought the following weekend when I was in there and I seen him in the rank, I'm going to get this cunt back. Now he's fourth in the rank. So I went up to the first guy in the rank. And I walked up to the window and I says, look mate, I've no money at all. Flat broke and I want to go to Bray. But when we get there, I'll ride you up the arse. And he looked at me and he says, fuck off. So I said, no bother. So I went to the next lad. Same thing. No money, want to go to Bray, I'll ride you when we get there. Same thing, fuck off. Third lad, same thing. Walked up to the fourth lad who had charged me 60 quid the week before and said, 60 quid to Bray mate, wasn't it? He said, yeah, hop in. And as we passed the first tree, I went, I pull boys. And yeah, I'll leave you there. Thank you very much.